Hey everyone, you're watching Conversations in Pop Culture, and I am your host, Andrew Davis, and this episode is brought to you by my sponsors, BCW Supplies. Use code POPANIMECOMICS to get 10% off your entire order. Long boxes, bags and boards, anything you need for your comics. Save yourself some money because inflation sucks. And I have with me Tom Hutchison and CB Zane. So welcome back to the show because you've both been on this show and you're back here. So welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having us as always.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's super fun.
You know, I'm excited because obviously you guys are sort of starting / wrapping up Big Dog Inc. World Goth Day
Yeah, it's
annual.
week 1 and the last week at the same time.
Yes, because Goth Day was May 23rd, everybody.
22nd. 2 and 2. As old Wink Martindale used to say, 2 and 2.
It's been a long day. So before we really dive into this campaign, what is the basic premise of World Goth Day, Big Dog Inc.? I think it's the second one you've done or the third one you've done at this point. And what's going on with the entire thing for everybody who's hearing about this idea for the first time?
Yeah, so this is actually our third year doing it, but it's our second year doing a Kickstarter. So the first year was 2020, it was our 10-year anniversary, and I stumbled across Goth Day just by accident. Like this was sort of one of those moments where I started to change some of the things that we did, or not change things, but I wanted to do things differently than what everybody else is doing. I was seeing everybody doing like Friday the 13th covers and you know, St. Patrick's Day and Star Wars. I was like, everybody does these things. Like they all do the same thing, and I don't want to do those things. So I wanted to find things that were cool to me that made sense that we could have fun with that would be ours. And I found, so in 2020, we actually did 3. We did World Goth Day. We did Bikini Day, and we did Princess Day. And they were all successful in their own rights. But basically, Goth Day came around. I was like, let's just sort of have some fun and redesigns our characters. And so the first year we just did covers and wrap those covers around the first issues of, you know, Ursa Minor and Scheherazade and whatever. But when I got to the design phase, you can see right here behind me is Catnip. When I got to the design phase and we designed Catnip up, I was so happy with it that I was like, man, if this works, I might have to do something with this. Because in 2020, it was just, we're just making these covers and putting them out. And it was a big success. And I realized, okay, if we do this again next year, I can't just come out and do new covers again. I've got to level up the playing field. Again, like everybody's just doing covers. I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a story with this. And I'm going to take Catnip and I'm going to use that as the focus of this. And as soon as I started trying to figure that out, I realized immediately that this already fit in with what I was doing with Critter, who this is based off of. Critter is our primary cat girl superhero in Big Dog Inc. Catnip is sort of the dark version, whatever you want to call her. Because in Catnip, there are already parallel dimension, or in Critter, there are already parallel dimension critters. There's a steampunk critter, there's a vampire critter, so on and so on. So we actually already had this in place in the story that I was writing. And so this just became an active universe for another critter variation. But in this case, instead of just having a critter world, I took the entire Big Dog universe and dumped it together, because all these books that we have all exist separately. Oz does not cross with Ursa Minor. Ursa Minor does not cross with Penny for Your Soul, all that kind of stuff. In the Goth Day world, everybody can be in there in however we want them to be, and they can all play in the same sandbox, which has really kind of changed the game for us, and is really, really a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and obviously everybody also sort of gets gothified, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, basically, yes.
I don't know if that's a word.
Tom Hutchison, gothified, trademark Tom Hutchison.
But that's what's going on, and obviously everybody gets to play, and I don't know if this is canon or not canon or shoots out or whatnot and all that stuff, but it's super interesting because obviously I think CB, you were in on the first one, from my understanding.
The first full book, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, what is this like for you? Because you've done a lot of work for Big Dog Inc. as well. in and out on a bunch of things, covers and whatnot. And so obviously, what is that like for you to play in this world too? Because Tom obviously wrote it and he's created a lot of this stuff, and other people have helped, and obviously other people have shaped certain characters, but you've also played a role in shaping certain characters. And what is this like for you to play in this world and gothify and also get to everybody interact with each other?
It's cool because I like being able to do sort of a, I guess for lack of a better term, a dark version of these characters. You know, the goth version has sort of a darkness to it. So it was really cool because I've been able to do quite a few characters from Big Dog Inc. Not necessarily in books, but even like conventions, sketch covers, sketches, you know, a few pages here and there. Some stuff that I think Tom hasn't even used yet, where I've gotten to dabble in the Big Dog universe, and then being able to take like these other designs and run with them has been really cool. And then this book here, with the, you know, goth mermaid story, I've had a bigger hand in sort of designing the look of those characters. Tom has just kind of said, like, he gave me very minimal notes, which is very unlike Tom. And I'm assuming he's happy with it because I haven't gotten a lot of notes back about like, no, you got to change this character. So creating this world of goth mermaids has been really, really cool. It's certainly a world I've wanted to dive into for a while. Just haven't had the story to do it. So mermaids has been really neat, and it's like Tom was saying, it's a different look at the BDI universe that, you know, I feel I know it pretty well just from, you know, having worked with Tom for what, 10 years now,
easily.
So it's cool. I get to play in the sandbox too, and make it, you know, gothified. Trademark.
Because this is one of the things that I really like about this is that, and I think this is something that obviously Tom, you did something with Jim Noble with the Cam crossover, and this to me is, it's not crossing into another book, but it's crossing into another dimension in Big Dog Inc.'s universe.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of creators are very scared to do what you're doing in a lot of ways, where you're basically turning a bunch of your characters dark, and you're taking a whole, I guess, subculture. And I'm trying to be very, you know, politically correct here with this, but you're diving into that subculture, and then you're showing new light, and you're almost creating a mini crossover event with all of these characters.
Totally,
and it's super interesting in a lot of ways, because I don't think Dorothy usually deals with Penny for your soul. I don't think Ursula Minor deals with Dorothy. Obviously, I don't think Critter deals with, you know, catnip per se. And then having everybody in there, I mean, it gives a lot of freedom, but it also doesn't hurt any of these stories once they leave that world. And it's something that really expands the universe. And I think it's brilliant because on a business level, it milks the hell out of your IP. And I'm saying this as politically correct as I can, but it also shows a new light, and it creates almost an alternative universe. And so this is something that is just, I think, very cool. And I think it's something that people need to actually pay attention and figure out how to do in their own stories, in their own worlds.
Well, and like you said earlier, like, is it canon? Like, what is it? Yes. Yes, it's canon. Why is it canon? Why is Scheherazade hanging out with Ursa Minor? Why is it canon? Because, and all of the reasons are there. It's tricky and it's weird and it's sort of it's a little ambiguous, but if you read the first issue and you're paying attention, the clues for what is going on are right on the page. I'm not even sure if CB really even knows what I'm talking about, because I haven't really discussed this. Like, hey, look at this and look at this and look at this. Like, I've never done that before, and I'm not going to, because I want people to sort of catch on their own as to how this is kind of all meshing together. But, you know, it is absolutely canon. It is absolutely a real place, quote unquote, real place. It is absolutely real to the overall development of the Big Dog Inc. universe as a whole. And we're just going to keep having fun with it and expand it and let it run its course. Yes, It will run its course. And in this particular book, like we were talking about the mermaids, we're actually doing it the opposite direction. In the first book, we took our existing characters and gothified them. In this book, we're actually introducing a brand new character, the mermaid princess. She's actually introduced in this book first. She does not exist in the Big Dog Inc. universe yet, but she will come Princess Day this year, November 18th. So we've kind of gone in reverse this time.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, you've already, sorry,
please.
yeah, you've always had, like, I don't know how else to put it other than you've already had a multiverse, especially with Critter. But so yeah, I could see how this is canon. You know, it fits. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And it will continue to make more sense as we go. We'll keep giving you the breadcrumbs to figure it out. But if you read that first issue, there's a couple of elements in that thing that should tell you pretty much like, oh shit, I think I see something here. And then, read the next issue and get more clues and so on and so on.
Yeah, and even to go further into this, because I think this is, obviously, I'm a huge Sonic the Hedgehog and Mega Man fan. And when Archie did The Worlds Collide, I mean, that was, very much, and then things shot out of that. And I think it's very rewarding in a lot of ways, because you've had people who have been with you since the inception of Big Dog Inc. And they've been with you where Big Dog Inc. was just starting out, and then more things got added. And then certain things, went this direction, that direction through the Aspen years and all that stuff. And obviously this has been a building point for a long time. And obviously, CB, you've been working with Tom for 10 years. So I would imagine that, obviously, I don't know how much you know, CB, and you don't have to disclose. You could take the fifth on it if you would like. But the idea is that it must also be very rewarding, because things have been building up to this point for a while at this point. So what is that like? Because I think that's crucial as well, where I think this is a crucial point. I think Princess Day is going to be a crucial point. I mean, I don't know if you're doing Bikini Day again at some point. I don't even know when.
No Bikini Day this year. No Bikini Day this year. We're too busy for Bikini Day this year.
I heard Bikini Day, I think it was today too, which is crazy. But I could be wrong on that. But what is that like? Because at this point, I think people have been with you for 12 years or even 6 years are now starting to see a lot of rewards being given to them as being fans and being very loyal, versus somebody who has come in like me in the last 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know Tom's whole plan, but I know Tom always has a plan. That's pretty much the long and short of it from my end. Very seldom does Tom ever just throw something out there and it's just, all right, this is a standalone, like maybe Bikini Day was, but for the most part, there's something, there's a string that connects in some way, shape, or form everything, and this is an extension of that.
Yeah, Goth Day was never a plan. Like, I wasn't back in 2010 at the start of Big Dog Inc. going, eventually I'm going to get to Goth Day. This is not the way it worked. But when Goth Day happened, I found a way to make it viable within everything else. So it wasn't just a matter of let's just do a thing and that's too easy. Again, I never want it to be easy on myself, I guess is what it's coming down to. Is like I never want it to just be so easy that we're just sort of throwing something out onto the pile. Like, well, here's a thing, go chase it. Like, I never want that. I want everything that we do. I'll tell you this, probably the most flimsy thing I've produced in our 12 years now of Big Dog Inc. is Camp Crossover. That's the most flimsy, nonsensical thing we produced, but that was done on purpose as well. Like, we purposely made this just ridiculous, pointless, fun story. Again, it's similar to Goth Day because we took all our characters, stuck them in an environment that, isn't normal. They are all still themselves here, however. They're just in a summer camp persona. But it was never Camp Crossover and Camp Rad Dog, what we did with Jim. It was never meant to be anything serious. It was meant to literally be, let's step aside. Let's get out of our box and just goof off a little, and see what comes of it. People really enjoyed it. They loved that it was just this weird comedy thing. And we just put out a new one, a little mini story this year, Camp Crossover mini story. Again, when I was telling people about this, I was like, I have two stories that I can do. One is a little more like normal Tom stories, the way that we do these things, and the other one is completely ridiculous. And ultimately, the response I got was, "Oh yeah, give us the dumb story." And I was like, really? You want the dumb story?" They were like, "Yeah, give us the dumb story." And I was like, "Okay, I will give you the dumb story. The fans have spoken. Dumb story it is." And so that's what we did. We did a little 8-page dumb story. I think the people that read it will get a laugh out of it. I think the people that know me and know kind of how Big Dog Inc. works will get a bigger laugh out of it because it's sort of an inside joke. And then again, it's just a frivolous summer adventure. And then, okay, guys, we're going to get back to serious writing now, as we do Ursa Minor and Goth Day and everything else that we do.
So to even go into that, because you mentioned something very interesting where obviously you didn't want to just go down the cover route and throw something out there, throw something out that's flimsy. And, this is just my opinion, but I see a lot of comic stuff right now where a lot of creators are heavily relying on variants as a crutch in Kickstarter.
Well, the variants are not a problem. We do tons of variants. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is I don't want to just come in like we did with Goth Day the first time. We did the covers and we just wrapped them around existing books. Anyone can do that. Can do that over and over and over again. Here's a new cover. It's on this existing book. I mean, that's fine if you want to do it. But for me, as soon as I realized, like, okay, I want to do Goth Day again, I didn't want to just wrap covers around the same book. I wanted to step the value up for what people were buying. Okay, you've engaged in Goth Day. Awesome. I appreciate it. Guess what? Now you're getting a story. Now you're getting a universe. Now you're getting something that's not just the cover. It's the going back and doing it again type of thing that has kind of always bugged me. And we've done it from time to time. But it's not something we normally do. Like when we did Bikini Day, even the Critter Bikini Day book was a Critter #1 issue that we redid, but we actually added a 3-page backup story just to make that particular book a little bit different than, your initial Critter #1. So that's kind of always where my head is. It's like, how can we kind of just make it a little bit different than, just slapping a cover on there? When we do our variants, like Goth Day has, CB's basic mermaid cover, and then there's 5 variants. So, we do variants.
So where I'm going with this is that I feel a lot of Kickstarters right now, and not everyone, but I feel like people aren't throwing the right substance, and they sort of go back and they want to do, even with like a graphic novel, you're just shooting out, 4 issues that, were there already, but somebody has already backed your 4 issues, and then you throw it into a trade paperback and you're not adding anything new. And I think
you'd hope that at least the trade would have some bonus material. Like when we do trades, we do bonus material. We make sure you get a cover gallery. We show you like the design stuff. We like to, throw in whatever we have. Like we just did the Critter 10-year anniversary book. That thing grew. The original trade paperback was like 120, 130 pages, something like that. The new book is 180 pages, man. I mean, we put every goddamn thing we had for Critter Volume 1 into that trade paperback. It's monstrous, that book. There's even stuff in there that has never been printed because they were just like test pages by artists and stuff. It's just like, here, this is kind of where we were going and things we didn't use. So it was like a director's cut. There was actually pages that I forgot to put in the first volume too. Like literally I left pages out. It's like, what are you doing? So it's truly a director's cut. So I would hope that when people are doing, I mean, that's the natural history of comics, right? Is you put out your floppies, you sell out of your floppies, you make a trade paperback. That's the natural progression of comics. But I would hope that, trade paperbacks would get some bonus material as well. But oftentimes, too, the trade paperbacks are for a different audience. They're
Yeah.
not for the floppy collector, because the floppy collector collects floppies, whereas
Yep.
the trade paperback is for more of a reader audience. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's what
so,
I
you
was.
know, it's just directed a different place. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like the trade paperbacks it's a different audience. Some people, they don't want to waste their time with the floppies. They want to wait for that trade paperback, and then they have the whole thing. It's sort of the binge culture. People don't want to wait anymore a week for that show to come out. They'll just like, okay, I'll just wait, and then I'll watch all 10 episodes. And that's what the trade paperback is for a lot of people too.
Yeah, no, the reason why I bring this up is that obviously I find that content is king, substance
Mhm.
is king, and also
Mhm.
new content is king. Because at this stage, and I can easily access anything that you have done old, one way or another, whether I buy it directly from you, I get it from Amazon, Comixology, and I think that's one of the things. And also, I think people are becoming way more selective on Kickstarter, where they're like, oh, this is just issue 1 of Critter. And while I like that cover, I also don't want I don't want the old issue of Critter that I already read 10 times. And I think that's what's starting to happen. And that's why I really like your Kickstarter with this, is that you're not just reshooting out a new variant cover. Because I think that hits a niche with a lot of people, but it's also the idea that I think people are saying, like, I need something more at this point. And that's what I think is very crucial. And I think it's a very important lesson that there's nothing wrong with shooting out new artwork and reshooting out an issue 1 with a new variant cover. But at the same time, everybody who's read that, I think that, the game has stepped up in Kickstarter land because there's more projects, there's better projects, and you need to be different at this point. And so
Yeah,
I
that
think,
you just said it. The game's changing, right? You've got and you as a creator, whatever you are, whether you're a writer or artist or whatever you are, you've got to keep rolling, and hopefully in the forward direction. Because there's so many people that do it. You've got to do some things that can help you stand out in whatever way you can stand out, because it's really difficult sometimes, to be like, why do we care about Tom's project when CB has a project? Why do we care about CB's when Wendy Shaner has a project? Like, why? And the more you can differentiate yourself, and show why this project is awesome, the better off you'll be. And just kind of rehashing and doing the same thing over and over again, there's sort of a comfort level, because you understand how it all works. Your customers kind of come in to the event and they're like, okay, I understand how this works. But you've got to be able to push a little in order to get the growth level that you want to see too.
yeah, I
And
don't know
like
if you have any.
CB, you're freaking. I mean, I still bow to you for Black Rabbit, dude. Like that freaking campaign. Like, I mean, you marketed it really well, but like, who knew that it would just explode the way that you did? But I mean, obviously, great campaign. Obviously, you've been doing campaigns for a long time, and you've built the trust of the audience. And kaboom, there's the example of how it can be done out of the blue.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it too, building trust, people knowing that you are going to deliver. I think is a huge part of Kickstarter world. And I never want to be that person. I think we've all probably at some point had our fair share of complaints. Thankfully, mine have been very minimal, and I've handled them all. And I always tell, like, one way or another, something will be worked out. Whether it's a mailing problem, whatever it may be. So I think I've honored my word as far as that goes. And that goes a long way, when people know they can trust you. And then, yeah, Black Rabbit took off. Um, I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I had a gut feeling that Black Rabbit would be liked, but that went well beyond what I thought it would. And to be honest, you've been at this long enough, Tom. Andrew, you're part of the comic world. You just never know what's going to be, like you said, the niche, what people want.
Boobs.
One thing you might be doing it and you're like, oh, this is gonna kill, and then it's like, what happened? This is a really good book. People need to read this. Like for me, like Into the Suck was a slow burn, but it found its audience in the end. So I don't know. You keep your fingers crossed. You put out the best product you can. And that was something I took away from Tom when I first met him. And he still says this, you know, if you come by his booth at a con, you know, he always says the inside art is as good as the outside. And that was one thing I always, when I started going into self-publishing, I wanted to produce something that you wanted to flip through it. You didn't just want the cover. You wanted to see the inside. The story was good. And, you know, it's a quality product. I never want people to blow by and be like, yeah, whatever. I want them to stop and pause and look and be like, wow, this is quality.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that both of you just brought up a really good point, is that in comics, is that you never know what's going to hit. You never know when it's going to hit. You never know. The idea is that obviously if you're a creator, you can build up trust. You can build up good delivery. You can be thorough, but you never know when an idea is going to hit. And I think it's the idea that you have to constantly push the line. I mean, Goth Day is pushing that line. I don't think anybody else has done Goth Day. You know, obviously everybody has done something.
There were a couple that tried it last year. But none of them are back. But here we are. Here we are, issue 2, Goth Day.
You
get your mermaids here. Get your mermaids.
You get the point, Tom, is that it's the idea that everybody does a Christmas book. Everybody does a St. Patrick's Day book. Everybody does a New Year's book. Everybody does an Easter book. But I don't know how many people do these off, you know, holiday type books. And it's the idea that you have to push the line because you never know when it's going to hit. I mean, and obviously I think Goth Day has reached a new high from last year, or it's on its way at the very least. And I think that's something that a lot of people in comics need to understand, is that, I mean, Black Rabbit, right? You didn't know how it was going to do, and it could have gone either way, and it was probably going to fund, but you didn't expect it to go that way, and it just hit the mark on what people wanted. And it's the idea that you pushed a line that people were like, okay, I need to read this book. And I think it's an issue in comics right now where I feel people to some degree are either don't know where that line is to be pushed, and I'm not too sure exactly why, or it's that everything has been sort of tried and it's finding a new way how to try an idea. Might be the issue too.
Well, design is always a key thing. I mean, you know, basically every idea for a story you could probably come up with has probably been done one way, shape, or form. So it's always the execution of the story that matters. And from the execution of the story, then you also have the design of the way things look. And there's a lot of stuff that doesn't take the time to go through the design process and really knock down, like, this is our visual cue for everything. And then run with that. And you know, this was the visual cue for Goth Day. It was one image. It was catnip. And then from there, everything grew from catnip. Across different artists, you know, and when CB came in and did this book, we did some really cool stuff with this, including, like, you know, blending musical notes into the pages and stuff. So even the book, even the pages, not just the covers, even the book had design to it, and there was purpose to the things that you were seeing. And we're doing some of that in this new book with these mermaids. We're finding ways to sort of cheat the environment, because when you're talking about going underwater, technically, yes, you can have like shallow water with some light and so on, but you know, that's almost too easy. So in this book, and we're talking about Goth Day, it's dark, man. It's a dark environment, but we're finding ways to, you know, light what we need lit, and it's gonna be really interesting to see. And then as we go on, you know, some of those elements from the first volume, like the musical notes and so on, some of that will return into what we do. So again, it all works together as you're, at least it should, as you're, you know, moving through your story in your design context for the entire world that you're building.
And what is that like for you to be pushed a little bit, CB? Because obviously it seems that Tom has wanted to push you to go into new areas.
I kick this guy's ass, man. Like, I'm like, let's do better here, man.
No, Tom said it before. Like, he wants to push himself as a writer, you know, and I've done some writing too, and I like to push myself, but I find I've always challenged myself as an artist, sometimes to the point of insanity where I'm like, why did I choose that angle? Why did I decide to put that shadow there? But it was interesting when Tom approached me for a goth day. I was kind of in the middle of working on Black Rabbit at the time, and it was a perfect mesh. It gave me a chance to experiment because um, Black Rabbit is a very noir type art that I did with that. And so I was already kind of steeped in that noir. And then working with the Goth Day, I brought that element to it. So I love working in shadows, and the idea of using, you know, negative space where your mind has to fill in where the darkness is. So I actually really enjoy doing that type of art. And now taking that underwater, with the lighting elements that are going into this story, it's a cool challenge. It's not easy. And I find myself as an artist, because I'm doing, you know, the inks, I'm not doing the colors, even though, and I want to give props to Gat Melvin because I know he's going to kill this. He's a wonderful colorist, and he already just killed the cover. For the one that I did for Goth Day, but knowing like what I can rely on Gat to add that I visualize, because I know from a color standpoint, sometimes there's there's layers and things that I throw in that I know are a pain in the ass for a colorist to work around. You know, I've done it with covers with Gat himself. He's like, "Hey, can you send me the layers with stuff?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, no problem. I'll separate." So knowing how far to push that and when not to in this book is probably the biggest challenge. Like, do I add the darkness of, you know, the depth of water behind some of the characters, or do I rely on the colorist to bring that through? And that's kind of where Tom comes in too, is, you know, the art coordinator. I have no doubt that he would tell me, hey, you need to add some darkness here or take away whatever that might be. So it's a process, but I'm excited to see what comes of it.
You know, this is way above my head, way above my head on all of this, and but I find it fascinating.
Listen, Big Dog Inc. is on a different level, man. We're on a different level up here. It's just a reality.
I am a much simpler man. I'm just a much simpler man.
And that I am too. I mean, writing Goth Day, like just from a writing standpoint, it was very different for me. I had to really change my style on purpose to kind of modify the caption bases and I mean just everything I needed to change. Even in this next this one that we're doing now, I'm like quoting Byron and stuff in this. Like, what the hell am I doing quoting Byron in this book? But I'm doing it. You know, it's really it when you step outside your normal box, it can really challenge you to do something truly different. And it will either scare the hell out of you and you'll quit, or you'll step up and you'll find, you know, that you can really do something else that you didn't necessarily know that you could do. And I'm not saying this is like Sin City level or anything of that sort of noir, but for me, based on the stuff that I've done previously, it was a big change. And going into issue 2, you know, as I started, I kind of started to feel it again. Like, oh yeah, I kind of like this style of writing. It's a little bit different. And yeah, it's just a little bit different, which was fun for me to do.
Yeah,
and I mean, I'm glad it's only once a year. I don't want to do this all the time, but you know, it's fun for once a year.
Yeah, and you know, you brought up a good thing, that feel. You know, when I sink my teeth into Goth Day, it's a very different thing that I'm doing with the noir, than I am with, say, even Into the Suck. Into the Suck has a completely different feel for me because it's sci-fi. So I don't have to bring shadow, because sometimes that sci-fi world isn't that. It's bright sometimes, and you know, sometimes it's overly detailed. You have mechanical tactical whatever going on in the background. Whereas this is, you know, a lot of it is hidden in the shadow, and that's the cool part about it. And trying to create that feel. And, you know, as a writer, as an artist, you kind of get into that mood. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, I got it. It's I make a lot of connections with sports, and it's kind of like when you're playing basketball and you know, you hear like everything's going in, and it just, you know, like that, you know, like Jordan used to say, like that rim is a big old bucket. You get into that groove as an artist, and even as a writer, like it just comes and goes.
There's a term for that. It's called the zone. I don't know if you
Yeah.
ever
Yeah.
heard that.
Oh yeah, it is
And
definitely
then
getting in the zone.
so when you go to the zone, and I used to do martial arts, and when you're in the zone, it's just like everything is slowed down, everything's in slow
Yep.
motion, and it's like a trippy feeling. And
Yeah.
you know, it sounds weird unless you've been there.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's just like, and I could imagine as a writer, and every once in a while on a podcast, like I'm just like in the zone where it's like I see like the way the interview's going miles out.
Yeah.
And it's like a weird feeling. And I don't know if it's this or it's like that type of feeling where you're like, okay, I get where I'm going and I kind of see the path,
Yeah.
even though, you know, you
No,
don't know
sometimes,
exactly.
yeah, 100%. As an artist, like, you know, I like to be able to know where the story is going. Even when it comes to a cover, I find it very frustrating if I don't know anything about a character. Someone's like, hey, draw my character. And it's like, okay, like, what's the story? Like, what makes this character who they are? Because I want to find their personality, and I don't want to just, as much as pinup and cheesecake art is great, I don't always want to do that. I always want a story element in it. And that's one of the things I really like about interiors, is being able to do, you know, that storyboard, because essentially that's what it is. It's the movie that I see in my head that I take from Tom's script or whoever the writer's script is, and I interpret it. I see the film, and then I have to take those moments that need to stand out. And sometimes that panel is just, you know, you're showing a movement from, like, you know, here to here. Sometimes it's a little bit more time between panels. But that's the really cool part about the storytelling element of it, and getting in that zone. And like you said, kind of seeing ahead. Yeah, like that. That's a couple steps, but the growth, and then, you know,
See the dragon coming out of the water in the back,
mm-hmm.
and then boom.
Yeah. And I love like little sequences like that. They go such a long way, and it's such a cool element of storytelling visually. So and you know, I've worked on enough of Tom's scripts that usually there is a little moment like that in his scripts, which is really fun to do.
Yeah.
You know, I've had my comics more often than not, more than once. I've had people say, "Tom, your comics feel cinematic." I keep hearing that like over and over again. They feel cinematic, and I'm like, "This is good, because that's how I'm writing this. I want this. I take from movies a lot. You know, shots, angles. You know, you know, for a shot like that, it might be a couple of minutes as they walk across the beach. Here, I basically get 4 panels to do my motion, but it's sort of like Michael Bay. You know, you've got multiple motions. You've got the girls walking one way, but in the background, you've got something going this way. And that's fun to do. I mean, it's really cool if you can pull off motion in a comic that's more than just like, I'm flying or I'm punching, or, you know, that's a really simple scene. It's just 2 chicks walking down the beach. But it's cool. It's dramatic as they move, the dragon moves, and you get multiple levels of storytelling at the same time. So, and CB just nailed it. So it was great.
Thanks. And it's funny because I found myself looking more at film for how I'm storytelling in a comic than I do any comic book. You know, the thing I might take away from seeing new comics is how someone might set up a panel or break a panel, for that matter. But as far as like capturing that moment, like getting into like a rule of thirds when it comes to filming, and finding what works aesthetically in a comic book and framing things that way, coloring, lighting, especially. I found myself watching way more videos about how they create everything from CGI environments to lighting and a simple scene in an office, say, and bringing that into my artwork than I do like the influence of other comic books. So I don't know, maybe that helps mesh with what Tom's doing too.
It's very interesting, and obviously I have not written a comic. I am taking a step back from pursuing that at the moment. There's something else in my world that I'm more interested in doing. It involves lots and lots of money instead.
Good for you.
Hey, it's comic related. It's
Yeah.
just, it's not comic book writing related, but again, it's I care about certain things more than other things. But right now, and but I find that to be fascinating because obviously running a comic aesthetically and running it like a movie is a very cool thing, and there's a reason why manga is doing very well. Manga tends to have more motion. It also tends to have more action. And while manga might be slightly simpler than comics and it not being in color, there is that's part of why manga is doing very well. There's other things too. It's cheaper. It's also more final than a lot of comics on the mainstream level, where if you kill off a character in a manga, a lot of times those characters don't come back. But obviously, I think that action stuff and how it reads more like a cinematic thing is massive. And there's a reason why during COVID, cinematic wrestling was a huge deal. And it was fascinating and it was very popular, and it still is at this point, because people really like those more action, I guess, theory positions. So I completely get it. But if you can't pull it off, you should not do it.
Well, even in my stuff, like if you read my early books, I've been doing this now for 12 years. So I can go back to my early books and look at it like, oh my God, like this is not what it should have been. Like, not that it's bad, but like I'm George Lucasing my stuff. Like, oh, I can fix this and make this better. But you can definitely see growth from, especially in my longer series, Penny for Your Soul, Legend of Oz, Critter. You can see the growth from the early days of Tom into what we do now. And books like Goth Day and stuff like that, the new books, they basically benefit from me having, written 12 years worth of stuff to where I can come in and be like, yeah, we're just going to change this up automatically. I can see it, can visualize a change in the book. And so that makes it fun.
Yeah.
And obviously I want to let Tom go see Bob's Burgers. So it's Tom's favorite movie.
I got to see Top Gun today. I'm perfully happy. Perfect.
I can't wait to see it.
I mean,
you are of the right generation that you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of millennials who are not going to get it. They're not. It's not going to work with them. They're not going to understand. But our generation is going to be like, yo, that was all right, man.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed Top Gun, and Top Gun is fascinating. I'm just upset that it's going to be taken off of Netflix on May 31st. I'm just like so upset.
Well,
I'm gonna have to sell my Netflix.
Hurry up and watch it again. I bought the Steel book, a couple of months ago because they put out some anniversary thing for it. I was like, yeah, give me that. Because somehow I didn't own it. I don't even know how I didn't own Top Gun. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. So as soon as I saw, I was like, wait a minute, I think I have this already. I went through and I'm like, Jesus, I don't have it. So bought it, watched it the other day. Still holds up really well for
it does.
a 1986, whatever, Tom Cruise's like fifth movie. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right.
It still holds up really well. And I think that's one of the best things about this one is this is legitimately Tom Cruise 40 years later, Maverick 40 years later. And Tom Cruise is like on it, man. He's like, yeah, I know what Maverick would be right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is perfect. Also, Miles Teller, 100% that dude is Goose's son. Like, 100% I buy in immediately. I love Miles Teller and almost everything he does.
Yeah, and also he's had some rough movies, and it really wasn't his fault why those movies.
Yeah, but he's had some great stuff too. Like, I mean, all even Tom Cruise has had rough movies.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you know,
Whiplash was great.
Miles Teller in
Whiplash.
Whiplash is amazing. War Dogs, he's amazing. In this, he's perfect in this. I'll tell you, here's some. I'm going to get controversial on you. He's in Fantastic Four, that weird reboot that they did. He's amazing in Fantastic Four. He's so good as Mr. Fantastic. You know, he probably saves whatever pile of garbage the overall movie is, but he is really good. So yeah, Miles Teller, man, awesome. That guy's going to be good. He's in like a Godfather thing that's coming out soon too, like a Godfather TV show. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah.
No, he's great, and I forget the movie he was in. That was like that crazy party movie, and I loved him.
Oh yeah, Project X. Yeah,
oh yeah,
Project X. He shows up as in Project X. Yeah,
another underrated movie.
Brilliant.
You know what was disappointing? I finally saw that movie, and I thought for all these years that was real. Like in my head, I'm thinking this actually happened. And I'm watching this movie like this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then at the end, I learned that none of it's real. I was so disappointed that this didn't really happen. But, you know, I don't know why it was in my head that it was real, but okay. All right.
So I don't know what I'm going to probably do tomorrow night. If I'm not on somebody else's show, I'm going to go see Top Gun Maverick.
It's the right answer. It's the right answer.
I
Everybody
know.
should go see. Well, I mean, again, there's a group of
my
people.
plan
that
is
aren't
to
gonna
see it
care.
this weekend. I can't see it tomorrow night, but this weekend, yes.
Oh man, I got a crazy Saturday. Maybe I'll see it, tomorrow, or I'll see it Sunday.
I raced out this morning. I saw the first showing at like 3:00, trying to avoid any sort of crowd. There was about a dozen people in there, but they were all the proper audience for it. So there was nobody on their phone. There was no kids chatting around or anything. It was like, oh yeah, this is the right people. This is good. This is good.
Did they clap at the end of it?
No, because Generation X does not clap at the end of a movie.
Right. That is the correct answer.
They were all happy. They were all, kind of like, oh yeah, it was good. It was good. It was good.
Yeah.
Because that's how you do it. You quietly walk out of the film.
Amen.
I'm just gonna clap at the end of the movie when I see it, just for you, Tom, and I'll film myself doing it.
That's good. That's good, man. Put that crap on TikTok. You'll make 1 million views. Yeah. One just that's your caption, right? Is single man claps during Top Gun. Like that's it. That's it. Single person claps during Top Gun.
Oh my God!
Clap during the Lady Gaga song. That's how you have to do it.
but I do want to show actually what people can actually back, because that's the most important part of all of this.
And I'll tell you this right now. Now, it's a little different this time because CB did the A cover for this, but we also have a 2-pack where it's the cover and then there's a virgin version of it, so you can get that one right. But then there's right there. So the sales on these mermaid covers,
I'm a professional,
have been unbelievable. Like the highest sales of single A cover books that maybe we've ever had on a campaign like this. Now, partially it's awesome. Partially it's a mermaid. Partially there's boobs. There's a lot going on in this cover. But like it has been so amazing in sales, just the base cover alone. Like we've sold other variants too, but like the amount that we've sold of this has been astonishing, which is, it's fantastic.
Well, also I would imagine is that, and this is just my own personal position, it's also the price point. And why I say that is that
price point is $10, but it's $30 for the pair. And that one has equally sold.
Again, price point, because at this point, at least for me, and this is just my position, money is always start getting tight. Usually in May, June, July, con season is opening. And so when Kickstarters that normally I would expect this to be more like 40 or even 50, it's a little bit cheaper. That's a big factor in my book. And that's just my thought process a little bit, because,
again, it's just, there's so the numbers are ridiculous. The numbers are ridiculous. And then the other one that was mind-blowing, I'm going to see where we're at right now, is we have a quick catch-up version, which is basically if you missed last year, you can get last year's and you can get this year's. And it's just the both logo versions. And the quick catch-up is the top-selling thing in the entire campaign. 42 people have done the quick catch-up. And what's awesome about that is that means that basically those 40 people weren't here last time, because otherwise, why would you buy the first book, right? Yeah. So amazing. Like those are the analytics that you got to look at when you're done with your campaign. You're like, okay, what sold? What level did it sell at? Like, what does that mean? And I'm like, God damn, these 40 people are brand new to what we're doing here. And that's outstanding.
Very, very helpful when you have a new client. And obviously I buy and sell comics on eBay, and I have my regulars on eBay and what I sell. And then somebody makes a big purchase on eBay from me. I actually ask them questions and say, hey, you're new to me and I don't recognize your name. What are you into? And it sounds weird, but all of a sudden I get a profile of the person, because I'm like, wait a second, you just spent $300 with me on eBay and I never sold to you before out of the blue. What did you buy and what are you into? Because you clearly have money and you clearly want a certain product. And, even with my Kickstarter data, I have an idea of what people want and why it did what it did, and also what people are looking for. And it gives me a position. And obviously, if I run another Kickstarter at any point for my show, I'm going to streamline it a lot easier and I'm going to simplify it, because that's the answer. And it's going to be like 4 tiers and that's it. I'm going to pull a Ben Dunn. Ben Dunn has
you've got to, everybody who runs a Kickstarter, when you're done, you need to look at everything about what happened to your campaign, how well it started, how well it finished, what did it do in the middle, what were your add-ons, what was the best selling book, why do you think that was the case? There's a lot of information that you get when you're done. And if you're just kind of glossing over that and moving on to the next book, you're not doing yourself any favors. Not to say that you won't be successful on the next one, but you can learn a lot about what you did and make it better, level things up.
There's a million things that I could do better. And also, January is a tough month, especially for somebody who's never run a Kickstarter before. January is tough, and a million things. But obviously, I've looked at that data, and if I run again, and I don't know where I'm going to be come November, so I'm not worried about that. But we're not talking about me; we're talking about you guys. So we got this one too.
Yeah.
So that's another cover that's out there. There's obviously this one, which I like. I don't know who this Keith Garvey fella is, but obviously that's out there. I like that cover. This one is cool as well. Cool. And then obviously this, which is Blue Jay. And does Blue Jay even have a book yet?
No. No. She's made her first appearance as her alter ego, Chloe. That's just Chloe is her regular name. She appeared in Camp Crossover. So her first appearance in a story is Camp Crossover. But she has appeared on a few covers now that we've done, including a Cannonball Run homage from last year, the 40th anniversary of Cannonball Run. She was on last year, the 35th anniversary of Transformers. So she's been on a few covers. This is her first Goth Day appearance as well. And Brian Peterson's basically done it all. I've basically taken the character and been like, look, it's you. So let's make it awesome. And there is so much that he has done that nobody has seen yet. Because we're not really prepared for the plan. The plan that we had was a couple of years ago, and the plan went right out the window, because as soon as I had him do one cover, Scheherazade, he did a cover for Scheherazade. As soon as he did that one cover, it was like, yo, who's this Brian guy? And I was like, oh, crap, I have to get covers now. And so instead of just doing Blue Jay, Blue Jay, Blue Jay, Blue Jay, it was like Blue Jay cover, Blue Jay cover. I was like, ah, damn it, Blue Jay's back burner now. But that's fine, because people like what you do on your covers. I have no problem with that. But it kind of set us back on all that. So we'll get to Blue Jay soon-ish. But No, she does not have a book yet. And that's the crazy part is we had the Critter action figure, right? And I was asking people like, what would you want to do next? I had people saying like, do a Blue Jay figure. I'm like, you don't know who this character is, man. Why? What? But again, it goes back to design, right? It goes back to design and marketing. Like they like the design. They like the way she looks. And the way that we've been using her in these crazy, strange ways is connecting with people. And so you take that and you run with it, and you go from there. So
then obviously there's this right here, which is the spin-off comic, and obviously that's 2020 Comics Unity, and that was a con, and a lot of people are involved in that.
Yep, that's where it started story-wise. Critter appeared on a cover earlier, but that's her first appearance story-wise. And then for those that don't know, this book is actually 60 pages. It's gigantic. And it has the Catnip story. It has the Sirenus story right in the middle there from Wendy Shaner. And then it has the Might story on the right. They're all full 20-page stories. So this is not like an anthology where it's like everything's 8 pages. It's like these are full stories, guys. And I don't have a ton of these left. I keep selling these things like wildfire. So if I run out, you're going to have to go get them from CB and Wendy, because I don't know how many they have either. But they were not. It's not like we printed, an extra, 5,000 of these things. They're we had a couple hundred each, and they're about gone.
Yep.
And then obviously there's this, which we showed already. Obviously there's this right here, which is pretty much
everything. If you want to get them all, boom, one pledge. You even get the variant CB version at the top there.
And then there's also this, which is
I pulled a handful of last year's book because I knew again that we'd have people that didn't get in last year. So we pulled 25 sets from last year, set them aside, and that's it. When those are gone, those are gone. So.
And then I think there's some variants where I think there's some holofoils.
There's holofoils and metals, which are basically the same art, just holofoil and metal. Yeah.
And then obviously I think you're doing some add-on stuff for other things as well. And then I think Big Kaiju's in here.
Yeah. So we wanted everybody to kind of get a sense of the Big Dog Inc. universe, like who these characters are outside of Goth Day. So you can get like the Critter trade paperback, Kaiju Epic, Princesses versus Zombies. You can get some of the stuff that you're seeing, the alternates, and you can get the whatever you want to call it, the original versions.
And so obviously, and then if there's something that somebody wants that's not in here, that's Big Dog Inc., and you have it, there's a million ways they can get it. Or if they want something from CB Zane, there's obviously a million ways they can get it as well.
Yep. And you can go to our website, bigdoginc.com. I'll take you right to the store. If you're on Facebook, you can just message me and say, hey, tell me about this. How do I get it? And we can work it out for you.
And then obviously, I don't want to keep both of you here forever because I know Tom has to go see his movie. So and I don't want to deprive you of enjoying Bob's Burgers tremendously. But I will eventually see it too. But that's like a next week activity. And yes, I will clap at the end. I will clap at the end just for you, Tom. But obviously, I am curious where you see Goth Day going next year.
You should know better than that by now. Like, I barely tell anybody what's happening next month, much less what's happening next year. I will tell you this. Next year is our 13th anniversary for Big Dog Inc. So next year is going to get a little weird. It's not going to be one of these like, 10-year anniversary of a book thing. Next year we're going to get a little weird with it. Goth Day will return. That is the only thing that from this year that is returning next year is Goth Day. We will do Goth Day issue 3. But next year we are going to have Princesses versus Zombies coming back as far as a full-sized issue. We are going to have one of our new 3 titles that we're debuting throughout Ursa Minor. We already unlocked the Shark book. It's only an island if you look at it from the water. The second one is called Sand and Scales. We'll be doing that in July. We'll be unlocking that new book. And then in October for the final Ursa Minor, it will be Land of the Lost Cave Girl. That'll be our third and final brand new title. And one of those will get an actual issue in 2023. We don't know which one. We might let the fans decide which one they want first. But the rest of the year, man, it's going to get weird. It's going to be strange things. We might go back to Lights Camera Jungle. We're working on another kaiju. There might be. Oh, there is. I'll tell you one more thing. We are doing a special project that we are tentatively calling right now BDI 13. It is going to be an anthology book written by guest writers. I already have one of them attached. In fact, he just sent me a message as we were doing this, telling me the character he wants to use. Because I was basically like, I don't care. Do whatever you want. I want you to feel comfortable in what you're doing, and then we'll work out the story if it needs to connect to anything or not. So we are going to be doing a special anthology book. It'll be like a 40-page anthology book called BDI 13. That'll be part of next year as well.
And then obviously stepping outside of BDI, and I don't know if it's still on, but I think it is. Obviously, you're bringing back Bad Girl art. Dynamite.
Bad Kitty. Man, we are so close to this. I'm busting right now. We're so close to this. I am supposed to have a phone call with Dynamite tomorrow. I am supposed to do a couple of little video things to put into the video. I am still pretty sure it's happening in June at some point. It might be late June. I'm still pretty sure it's June. I have no guarantees of this, but I might tomorrow. But I think the aim is sometime in June. They might push it into July. I don't know. Trust me. As soon as I know, everybody will know.
and so obviously, I mean, for those who don't know, Dynamite has basically brought in people like Dan Wickline. And there's been a lot of other people who have worked and done a lot of stuff with Dynamite, and they've really stepped up their game with projects that are sort of new and projects that are being revived. And there's just a bunch of stuff going on with Dynamite, whether it's on Indiegogo first or Kickstarter, I don't know, but it's going to be on one of those platforms, and it's going to be on the other one too.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up being on both, but wherever it launches, I think it'll be June 1st, and then again we'll let everybody know. But when I did the book, I was like, I had basically two people in mind as far as the art goes, and CB was at the top of the list, and they were like, show me what he can do, and I was like, okay, here, and they were like, yeah, this is good. And I was like, okay, all right, good, that's done. And I fought for a colorist that I wanted as well. I was like, I want this guy. And they were like, well, and I was like, no, I want this guy. And they were like, well, and I was like, no, I want this guy. And they were like, fine, okay, you can have this guy. And I'm like, okay, good. So Chris Chua is on colors. You guys know Chris Chua. He's done a lot of stuff for us. The book looks ridiculous. It's gorgeous. It's all done. I mean, it's done. Yeah. It's literally done. The colors are done. The letters are done. The covers are done. So it's just a matter of Dynamite sort of finalizing everything that they need for the campaign. And then we'll be live. But holy crap, you guys, I think you're going to love this book. It's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah.
And there might even be good words. I don't know about how good the words are, but at least the art is really good.
The words are good too. I think I used the word cinematic when we were talking about it, like way back.
And obviously, I'm not going to push too hard because I don't want to get you two in trouble, and I don't want to.
Well, I've given you literally every piece of information that I have. Yeah. I have nothing else to tell you until my phone call tomorrow, and I get more details. You have the entirety of the information.
And obviously, that's as far as I'm going to push. But I do want to give both of you a chance to self-promote. So I don't know who wants to go first. I don't know if you want to duel each other for the right to go first. But
yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'll go first, and we'll let Tom finish because it's it's BDI's campaign. So we'll finish on that note. Yeah, I'm a little frustrated right now, to be honest. My printer is held up with a paper shortage on Black Rabbit, but I want to fulfill that. But in the meantime, that's kind of delaying all the other things that I have planned. I will have a trade paperback for Into the Suck. It will have bonus content in it. That is all set, ready to go. Mite number 2 is completely drawn. It is lettered. It just needs to be colored. That will be going out soon. Scorpion 4 will start soon. and I am already halfway through Black Rabbit #2 with the art. So I have a number of books that are ready to roll out as soon as I fulfill Black Rabbit. And I have a couple other stories that are brewing in my head because I just can never, ever, ever stop. But we'll see where that goes. But in the meantime, Outpost 426 Studios will continue to publish and put out our best material. And I'm sure I'll be doing more stuff with Tom, as things move along.
Oh yeah, that's one of those crazy things for next year. I forgot all about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Yep.
Forgot all about that.
Yep.
Oh my God. I have work to do. That's what it comes down to. I got so much work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
All right, take it away, Tom.
Okay, so Goth Day. It's we got 2 days left. We end Saturday night, everybody. Saturday night. As we've been chatting here tonight, we've already had some extra pledges drop in as well. Let's see where we're at right now. We'll do an official right
You're
now.
welcome. Oh man,
261 backers, $12,716. Again, this is all just in 5 days. We got 2 days left. So Goth Day, 2 days left. It's issue 2, but you can get issue 1 as well. So if you missed it last year, it's very easy. There's a thing called a quick catch up where you can get the 2 books that you need, or you can get all the variant covers and all that kind of stuff. I can tell you that Oz 3 is going to the printer along with Ursa Minor. We're finally done with Oz 3. We had a real serious personal issue happen with our team, which we won't go into, but those that know the team know what happened. So we lost a lot of time, but I was never going to just be like, yo, just shake it off, rub some dirt on it and keep going. So it's basically done. It's going to go to print with Ursa Minor. We're going to ship them together in July, late June, early July. We'll be all caught up except for the Critter toy, which we just heard from I don't know what they are. I want to say the manufacturer. I don't even know if that's right. The guys who make the toys, whoever they are.
The design team, man.
Not the design team. The actual people that make the actual physical toy now. They sent us some pictures because they did the molds. They did some test molds. They did some adjustments on the final molds because now they're using different plastics than the prototype, right? So they had to fix some things. So it's all set. It's all ready to go. They actually added an extra set of hands to the project as well. No extra cost. They're just tossing those in, so as a little bonus. And they're at the stage now where they're going from their test molds into the steel final molds. So they'll be going into full production here very soon. And we'll get some more pictures as that is happening. But yeah, it's moving along. They, just like we talked about with the paper shortage, they had issues with supply of what they needed for the plastics and everything. So everything kind of slowed down a little bit more than we'd planned. But we had thought we might be able to ship them around July or August, but it's looking like, based on what I talked to them the other day, it's looking like it might be about October, which is still good. We get them into people's hands before Christmas. That was kind of like my end game. Like, dude, we want to have these in people's hands by Christmas at least. And they were like, yeah, shouldn't be a problem. Okay, good. So that's the Critter toy. And then Ursa Minor returns in July for part 2 of the 10-year anniversary of Ursa Minor. Fabio Samau is already working on issue 2. Covers are already done. We already have 3 other cover artists that are almost done. We're way ahead of schedule on that. That'll be a big 40-page issue. So October will be a 40-page issue. And then Princess Day, November 18th, Princesses versus Zombies returns with our new princess. And I will be at Oz next week in New York. Oztravaganza in New York next week, next Saturday. And then 2 weeks after that, I will be in St. Louis at St. Louis MightyCon. And then the week after that, I will be Albuquerque, Duke City. So June is going to be busy. And then I'll be back around for the summer. And then CB and I are going to be in Akron first weekend of November, Akron Comic Con. We're invited back to go down there. So, yeah, that's sort of the general gist. And of course, Big Dog Inc. right here. Just search Big Dog Inc. You'll find what you need. BDI Comics on Twitter and Instagram, all that kind of good stuff. And then we have Patreon too. Patreon. We got 35 Patreon members who get all kinds of backstage access and special offers and all kinds of stuff. So if you like the Patreon, check out Patreon Big Dog Inc. And join us.
Yeah, and I'm just going to basically say all this is that you have to support indie comics. And what that means is you have to actually back Kickstarters, because that's how this shit gets made, for lack of a better word.
But again, support also means just spreading the love too. I mean, spread the links around. That's one of the things that this is one of the things that people are not doing right now. I'm telling you right now, there's definitely a lack of spreading the links happening. Like we all do it. Like we post a million different groups. You'll know when we're posting it. But people will see it and they'll be like, oh, there's that Tom's link. Okay, cool. It's like, yo, just click share. Just click share. Just click share.
This is one of the
take a minute and click share.
Put up a Facebook status and say, if I don't back your Kickstarter, that means that I'm not against you in comics. It means I only back projects I like. Well, the problem with that is you don't have to back my project, but you could share it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Support is not money anymore. Well, I want your money when I'm running something. You can do it for free too by just sharing out, my Kickstarter link. You could share out your link, and when I put it up, the person was like, I didn't even think about that. And
we just don't think. We don't think about likes. We don't think about comments. Like if we want to, we do it. But we move so fast through social media now that moment that we take to stop and click like or something or share, it's drifted out of our sort of mentality for what social media is. We just want to get to the next thing to see it. And I get it. Trust me, I get it. I'll sit there and spool through my feed. And I'm 100% one of the guys that is guilty of not stopping for like, and sometimes I get in my head, I gotta click some likes on these things.
I'll be very honest. Be very honest. I mean, look, I was running this, I need money to run it, but you know what it is? I also need a goddamn share.
Can I get a share? Can I get a share, please? Give me a share.
It sounds crazy, but I appreciate when somebody likes it. And I'm not asking for a lot, but if you like it, it at least tells me, oh, you make me feel good for 5 seconds. And, or your comments, oh, really enjoyed the interview. Or even if you shoot me a DM, because just on a personal level and on a confidence level goes a long way.
Sure.
It goes just as far as money goes, because I could find a million ways how to fund this project. But somebody liking my thing, and then when all these random people like it, I'm like, where the hell are all my friends? Where are all the people? I have people who won't even like their own interview. They won't share their own interview. And I'm like,
it's literally a part of social media that we have all forgotten. Like it's no joke. And like I said, I'm guilty of it too. So I've tried to make an extra sort of effort when I see people's links. I'm like, I'm at least going to drop a like on that. And because there's so many of these groups even where you go in and there's like thousands of members and these posts are getting like 1 or 2 likes. I'm like, we're all in these groups. Like there should be a lot of likes. At least there should be a lot of likes, if nothing else. So try and do it, guys. That's it. That's all I would ask is in your mind as you're scrolling, just drop a few likes on some creators' posts. It'll go a long way. It really will go a long way.
Yeah, and as I was stating, obviously you have to support indie. You gotta like stuff. You gotta share it out. Throwing $1 goes a long way. And even buying something digital goes a long way. That's a big thing. And obviously, cover A is $10. So that's something too to think about. Is that
and includes the shipping. And includes the shipping. It's just $10. There's nothing else. There's no tricks. There's no hidden magic tomfoolery. It's just $10. You're in, you're out, you're done.
And so obviously I'm just
and it's a mermaid.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a mermaid, guys. And obviously I'm gonna put my own stuff quickly so I can let everybody peace out. Obviously I have Buy Me a Coffee. If you're not gonna do it here, I appreciate the support. Obviously I want people to follow me on social media. It's right now blocked, so I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Pop Anime Comics on Facebook, Pop Anime Comics on Instagram, YouTube. Pop Anime Comics goes a long way. You can also buy my t-shirt. yes, I like Taco Bell, I like Gundam, I like Fallout, and the most interesting man in the world. It's 16 colors you can get in, and you can get it on a mini skirt if you so choose. Yes, you can get it on a mini skirt, and I approve. And that's just how we roll.
Nice.
I had Taco Bell today. Just saying. I don't know what value that has, but I had Taco Bell today. Maybe I'll get you another sponsor. Unofficial sponsor of the show is Taco Bell.
Oh my God! If Taco Bell was the sponsor, that'd be
Doritos
fantastic.
tacos. That's, you know,
I would take free tacos.
If you need a spokesman, Doritos, you know, I'm here.
But clearly, and then tomorrow Taco Bell's going to call and be like, "Did you unofficially get sponsor?"
They're going to send you a cease and desist. Stop mentioning us, sir.
But anyway, obviously, I appreciate all forms of support. If you so kindly want to support this show, there's a million ways how to do it. Also, use my code at BCW Supplies. It's Pop Anime Comics. It's 10% off. Inflation sucks, and bags and boards are expensive, and so are long boxes. So, if it's a good deal for you and it's cheaper than other places, use that code because protect your valuables. And all I'm going to say is October 5th, a big day is coming. And that's all I'm going to tell everybody what's going on with me. But it's going to be a fun day, October 5th. And that's all I got. And I don't know who wants the final word.
I think we're good, man. I think we're good.
I think you said it all. Thanks for having us. And all the best.
That's a wrap, everybody. Peace.
All right.